this is a big one. I got to give credit where credit's due. You know, I told you guys when Zohran was running, if he were to win, I thought he would govern more like a moderate. And I said, like, let's see what he does when it comes to those domestic issues. So as it stands right now, it looks as though when they made the announcement today via press conference that New York City is on its way to getting some type of universal childcare. And that is something that Zohran Mamdani did run on. The announcement, I first saw it here. This is a big one for those of you in New York City. Big news from Governor Kathy Hochul on childcare. She will announce today that she's committing to fully fund the first 2 years of Zohran Mamdani's implementation of free preschool for 2-year-olds. And I'll get into the details more about this. I think this is what they're starting with, and then they're going to, increase it. But the key thing here is that she's willing to fully fund the first 2 years. So when people were asking where was he going to get the money for that, there you go. Also, don't forget Kathy Hochul is also running for re-election. So I think that may have something to do with this as well. I think it has something to do with it as well, is that she's saying, I'm up for re-election. So the people in New York have made it very clear where they stand about affordability. So I better get right on at least this issue. So this was the announcement again. This is pretty big. Governor Hochul state of the state investments will commit to delivering affordable childcare for nearly 100,000 more kids. Make pre-K truly universal statewide. Partner with New York City to launch the new mayor's signature 2Care program, and finally realize the promise of universal 3K access in New York City. Support other counties in building out new child care pilots that offer high quality, affordable care to families regardless of income. This is the big one, regardless of income. And expand child care subsidies to tens of thousands of additional families. Okay, the big thing here for me is when it says regardless of income, because that means that they won't continue to have it means tested. You guys know how I feel about things being means tested. I think that it singles people out. And I used to feel that way when I was in school, and there were certain kids that got free lunch or reduced lunch. It kind of singles them out. And then, sometimes the kids will feel some kind of way as though like everybody knows my family is poor. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like just do these things regardless of income. Now, this is a big one because Zohran Mamdani ran on this. This is one of the issues he ran on. And it goes to show you how quickly he said, okay, I just got into office. Let's see what we can go ahead and take care of. Now, the big thing that stood out to me was, removing that IHIR definition of anti-Semitism. That to me was a big one. That's the geopolitics, right? But the other thing here is that this is now domestic policy. And, some people voted for Zohran because of the Israel issue, but some people voted for him because of just the domestic issues, because of the affordability message. And so now we see the pivoting to these domestic issues. They held a press conference earlier, and I want you guys to see it. This is a big deal, you guys.
Either people are saying instead of getting together and talking about planning for that baby, maybe painting an extra bedroom if you have one. I don't know who has an extra bedroom anymore. Paint the living room. You should be talking about that. But instead, they're talking about maybe we can't afford to have kids at all. Maybe it's not going to be part of our dream. Or sick and tired of trying to figure all this out in a patchwork system that's not working. And they get worn down by the stress of it all. Hey, sweetie. They get worn down by it, right? This takes a toll. But you know what? At some point, they might just say, I can't do this anymore. I have to leave a place I grew up in, a place I love. That, to me, is tragic. When someone leaves, we're all diminished. Our state, our city, we're sapped of the collective vitality and energy that each family and each child brings.
And people are leaving. The numbers do show that when we look at the states that people are leaving, New York, Massachusetts, California, expensive states, right? So people are leaving. And yeah, that is reality. Like people just can't afford to have kids. And everybody that leaves New York, especially New York City, doesn't necessarily want to leave, but they just can't afford it. It's like if they want to even try to have a family, they're like, I can't afford to do this here. Like if you make $90,000 and you live in New York City, that's nothing there. And I don't think some people don't understand that if you never lived there. Like I lived there, so I'm telling you that's nothing there. So it's gotten to that point, right? Now, we can look at this both ways. We know Kathy Hochul, like I said, is running for re-election. So I think she's supporting this and got on board for this because she wants to stay in office. She wants to be reelected, right? And the fact that Zohran won, that said something to her. Whoa, this guy beat Andrew Cuomo. He beat, the corporate guys. He beat someone who was already governor of the state. So that sent a message. So if she wants to even have a chance of winning re-election, she had to get on board with these policies. All of those things had to line up at the same time, right? So it's like you can have someone run for office and have an affordability message, but the reality is if it's the governor that has to sign off on some of these things, well, then it's like you're in a better position if the governor might also happen to be running for re-election around that same time. You get what I'm saying? If they want to stay in office. We'll go on a little bit more here and then we'll get to what Zohran said as well.
They're growing up in a different state. And for decades, governors have promised some form of childcare, but never delivered. And I'm here to say, the era of empty promises ends with the two of us right here, right now. We've laid the foundation since I took office, and I announced this in my State of the State exactly 1 year ago, that we'll be on a path to lay the groundwork for a robust universal child care system statewide. We've already invested $6.5 billion in our state child care assistance program, dramatically expanding the eligibility and capping costs at $15 per week for most of those families. That's incredible. We've doubled the number of children served by vouchers. We also knew we had a workforce shortage, especially after the pandemic.
And then she gets into the pandemic stuff, which we all don't need to go back down that road again. We all remember, at least I do. I mean, I was there, so I definitely remember. Let's go to the next part here. Why are we at this part? Oh, there's obviously something said here. Sorry about that. We'll go to this part here and then we'll bring in.
When your child is okay, then you're going to be just fine. And so that's the power of affordable childcare. It gives parents like Mariah and others the foundation they need. And I'm proud to deliver on this very ambitious plan with existing state revenues. We got it done. We found a path forward, and there's nothing going to get in our way. And I want to continue focusing on these transformational plans and the support we're providing, Mayor Mamdani, to make our collective vision become a reality.
Okay, so let's get to the part here where Zohran comes in. I think I put it right about here to talk about this a little bit more.
We take one step to realizing a city where every New Yorker, every family, every child can afford to keep calling it their home.
Yes.
It is an honor to be here in Flatbush alongside Governor Hochul. Governor, thank you for your partnership and thank you for your leadership. And I want to say thank you to the incredible organizers, advocates, elected officials that we have here at every single level of government who have willed this day into existence. Truly, thank you to all of you. To those who doubt the power of the people to make their own destiny, to the cynics who insist that politics is too broken to deliver meaningful change, to those who think that the promises of a campaign cannot survive once confronted with the realities of government. Today is your answer. This is a day that so many believed would never come. But it is a day that working people across our city have delivered through the sheer power of their hard work and their unwavering belief that a better future was indeed within their grasp. We stand here today because of the millions of phone numbers that were dialed, conversations had, voicemails left, each of them a New Yorker speaking to another New Yorker, each of them making the case for a future that working people could in fact afford. And we stand here today because of the untold stairs climbed and doors knocked by volunteers who encouraged neighbors they had never met to imagine a New York where a dignified life was in fact possible. And we stand here today because of the young New Yorkers who were no longer willing to accept that the joy of beginning a family had to be paired with the heartbreak of moving away from a city that they had always loved.
And it's a problem happening all over. I'm sure like Eric and Corey, they're in the background here. They can tell you the same thing here. It's like people keep leaving these cities because they just, it's like if you want to even try to start a family, you just can't, you can't do it. You got to get out. So people keep moving away. And New York is one of those cities that people continue to leave and leave and leave, right? But I want to point something out here. If Andrew Cuomo would have won, this does not happen. Andrew Cuomo really didn't have a plan per se. He basically just ran on, I'm not the socialist and I'm not that crazy Sliwa guy. And I governed the state. That basically was his thing. But if Andrew Cuomo would have won, this doesn't happen. Remember, he was against these things. He said, there's no way you can do that. You don't have the money to do it. It can't work. Eric Adams, what did he say? We don't have the money to do that. Can't do it. It can't work. But somehow magically, Kathy Hochul managed to find or come up with that money for the first 2 years at least. So what do they mean when they say you don't have the money that can't work? It seems like the money was there. They just didn't want to use it for this.
In short, my friends, we stand here today because of a movement brave enough to make a promise and even braver to know that it could fulfill it. Today, that movement, that fight, that New York has won. And if this moment where I stand alongside our governor marks the dawn of a new day, we know that it does so because New Yorkers have lifted it themselves. With their own hands, their refusal to accept that government could not deliver the change that they knew was possible. And that new day will cast a light across our city. It will be felt by millions of New Yorkers, by Mariah in this room, and by so many others across every single part of the city that we call home. It will be felt not only when we make pre-K truly universal, but expand this care to include all 2- and 3-year-olds across the city. As the governor said, we will deliver to care by working in partnership with childcare providers, especially home-based providers.
That's a big one, the home-based providers, because a lot of times these people are overlooked, right? Like, what about the people who also, they're taking care of kids like in their home? Like, it's not an actual daycare center or brick and mortar, but they have the license and they are caring for children in their home. So that is a big one.
Who have been doing this work without thanks or recognition for far too long. We will build on the city's existing 3K program and say no longer will a family in Flatbush be offered a seat but have to find out that that seat is in Astoria. We will add seats in the neighborhoods where demand has not been met. This will be felt by expanded subsidies for tens of thousands of additional families. It will be felt when parents look at their bank accounts at the end of the year and see that they have saved more than $20,000 per child. And it
Okay, guys, everybody, if you're in New York, where my New Yorkers at, you guys got to better hold them to this. I have friends in New York, so I will be checking. I will be checking. I'll contact Professor Zinkus, all you guys. I will be contacting you saying, hey, I just want to check. Like, make sure you stay on and make sure this happens. Because, I mean, they already had the press conference now, you know. We know you got the money. They can't say they don't have the money anymore.
It will be felt when neighborhoods no longer feel hollow and empty because those we love haven't been forced to move away to raise their children elsewhere. It will be felt when our children receive high quality care and enjoy better outcomes later in life as a direct result. Yep. And I want to be clear, this will include children with disabilities and children who live in our shelters.
Okay. That's a big one too. Making sure that you also include students that are, kids that have disability, because that's an important one. Shatter said she's been okay with NYC childcare and expansion in the state. But that tells you the mayor probably wasn't, the previous mayor, Eric Adams, huh? That's what it seems like, because this is just getting pushed now. And I want to remind everybody, I think we covered this story a couple of months ago. Eric, remind me, I believe it was New Mexico. Yeah, New Mexico just started universal child care. New Mexico. So, and that's for the whole state. So this could, spread around. This is what I was telling people. Like, if you support those populist like policies, I do feel like we have a better chance accomplishing these things on the local level. That's what I continue to see happen. I mean, we would compare it to the federal level. I live in Massachusetts. We've passed a lot of progressive policies, but again, like I said, on the local level. So I just think that it shouldn't be overlooked, right? I think there should be pressure there to get those things in the works.
This will be felt when our economy hums with the hard work of parents who are able to return to the jobs that they love, rather than have to quit because they can't afford to pay for care. And that feeling will not be abstract. Its mere absence has been measured to the tune of $23 billion in a single year of economic productivity in this city. I want to express how proud I am of this victory that we have achieved together, the political will we have mustered together, and the partnership between city and state government that we will enact this movement's vision together. And I stand here on this stage alongside our governor in deep recognition that for too many years, the relationship between Albany and City Hall has been defined by dysfunction and discord, by feuds and by factionalism. Petty grievances have interfered with the work of serving the people. Political posturing has consumed the attention of those with the power to transform lives. And I am deeply committed, alongside this governor, to charting a new course, one where people look to government and expect collaboration, not competition. And I am deeply grateful to count Governor Hochul as a partner in this work.
So this is a good thing. Like I said, this is a positive. I think sometimes people are so used to being cynical that they don't know how to call a win a win. And the reality is, yes, I've been saying this for years, something needs to change with the childcare system. Just to give you a perspective, years ago, I looked at the daycare costs for the Boston area, which includes Cambridge, Somerville, etc. You know how much it costs to have a daycare, to pay for daycare in the Boston area? This was years ago now, so I'm pretty sure it's higher than before. At that time, $3,500 for one child per month. Someone do the math for me. 3,500 times 12. I don't have the calculator thing on here. 3,500 times 12. Eric, I think you're the math whiz around here. Anyway, 3,500 times 12. 3,500 a month. Do you guys know at the time, I wasn't even making 4,000 a month. So imagine you're not even making $4,000 a month, but daycare is 3,500. Thank you, honey buns. I knew the math people would show up and show out in the chat. $42,000 a year. And that's one child. Now imagine if you have more than one. That's insane. And if you're just starting out, depending on what field you're in, you may not be making $42,000 a year. And that's why people are leaving the cities. That's why they're leaving those cities and they're moving to places that are more affordable, because you're basically breaking your back to try to pay for daycare for a child, and you have to pay for the daycare because you have to work. And then, if you try to do it the other way around and say, well, I'm just going to stay home and just let, my spouse work, that don't work out either, because you got to pay these damn bills. Gone are the days where one parent had to work and the other parent could stay home. My mom was able to do that. My parents are boomers, they boom. And my parents were able to do this, this little agreement where when my mom had me, she stayed home with me until I went to kindergarten. So they didn't have to pay for daycare. Then when I went to kindergarten, she went back to work. When my mom had my sister, she did the same thing. She stayed home till my sister went to kindergarten, and then she went back to work. That was the boom lifestyle, right? So I don't know anyone that can do that today. Everybody I know work. Everybody I know have a job. Every couple, every married couple, every, girlfriend, boyfriend, couple that I know, everybody got a job. So, you do the math. So they keep telling you people need to have kids and that we need more people and there needs to be more, families, but they don't tell you all the costs that are associated with all of that. They don't tell you how much daycare costs now. Now, if you're lucky, maybe you're, one of your parents are around. That's not the case for everybody. Maybe they could volunteer to babysit if they're retired. But even some of the seniors now are at this point where some of them have gone back to work or to pick up smaller jobs to pay for medication. It's a common story. So again, yes, of course, support universal childcare because the shit is too expensive. And people need to ask themselves this question. If you're one of those people where you want people to have kids, but they can't afford daycare, you need to come up with a strategy for them. It's just because it doesn't make any sense. I know plenty of people that probably would have started having kids a lot sooner and would have had more kids if it wasn't for the cost of daycare alone. So things have changed. This is a win for New Yorkers. You guys keep me posted there, all the people in New York. But if it continues on this path, it does look like, hey, this is one of the things that he ran on, that he said he was going to get done, that it seems like he's already putting it out there in the forefront. And so stay tuned. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.